Hello and welcome to That's a Wrap, a roundup of movie news from the past week. I'm Joe Kohle. Here's what we're working on for you today. I will be joined by senior host at Collider, Perri Nemiroff, for a recap of the 83rd Annual Golden Globes. We will break down how the results might impact the award season going forward. And later, Perri and I will share our thoughts on the new teaser trailer for Avengers Doomsday. The film shares a release date with Dune Part 3, and in the vein of Barbenheimer, Robert Downey Jr. and Timothée Chalamet have come up with a portmanteau for their films called Doomsday. Perri and I will discuss whether Doomsday has the possibility of being the next Barbenheimer, and we will wrap things up with what to watch. This week we are highlighting the film 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. A writer and podcaster for Next Best Picture, Gio Lago, will join to share his thoughts on the film. But let's now bring in senior host at the digital entertainment publication Collider, Perri Nemiroff. Perri, thank you for joining us again. Really happy to have you back on.
So happy to be back. Lots to cover right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So last week we shared our predictions for the 83rd Annual Golden Globes. Today I want to do a recap of some of the big winners, discuss what they could mean for the Oscars. Let's begin with the two Best Picture categories. Hamnet won Best Motion Picture Drama. One Battle After Another won Best Motion Picture Musical or Comedy. After the Globes were finished on Sunday, the podcast The Big Picture responded with an episode titled One Battle After Another vs. Hamnet Begins. Deadline also responded with an article titled Will Paul Thomas Anderson Have One More Battle with Hamnet at the Oscars? So Perri, do you think Hamnet is a legitimate challenger to One Battle for Best Picture?
I do, but I think that a lot of those headlines might be a little too limited because I think it's a 3-film race. I think we're discounting one thing. I definitely think that Hamnet winning this particular Golden Globe Award gives it a nice boost, maybe a much needed boost in Best Picture in particular. But I'm going to say One Battle versus Hamnet with a little asterisk until we get to our next film.
Yeah, I mean, on The Big Picture, host Sean Fennessy compared One Battle versus Hamnet to Saving Private Ryan versus Shakespeare in Love. Shakespeare in Love ended up winning Best Picture that year. In the past for Best Picture, the Academy has tended to favor heartfelt over cool, I think. Other examples of this include the King's Speech beating The Social Network, Dances with Wolves beating Goodfellas. Goodfellas losing Best Picture at the Oscars is considered by many to be one of the biggest sins in the history of the Oscars. In this analogy, Hamnet is Shakespeare in Love, The King's Speech, and Dances with Wolves, and One Battle is Saving Private Ryan, The Social Network, and Goodfellas. So the only reason I would give Hamnet any shot of winning is because it is the type of film that the Academy seems to enjoy and has awarded in the past. But it seems like this year, cool will triumph over heartfelt, although One Battle has a lot of heart and sincerity. So I still think One Battle is a significant frontrunner. I don't think Hamnet winning Best Picture Drama should make us view it as a film that can seriously challenge One Battle for Best Picture. It definitely moves it up the ladder. Going into the Globes, I think Sinners was seen as the number 2 film in the race. So I think Hamnet winning definitely makes it surpass Sinners as the clear number 2, but I don't think that the boost it got from winning is enough for me to consider it a real threat to One Battle. And speaking of Sinners, the film only won 1 Golden Globe, cinematic and box office achievement. You and I both predicted that it would win Best Motion Picture Drama. Do you think Sinners is completely out of the Best Picture race now?
Oh, absolutely not. I think Sinners is still my number 2. I think if anything takes it from One Battle, it is still Sinners, and then Hamnet would be my number 3. But we talked about this a little last time with the Globes. This is just one of my many frustrations with the cinematic and box office achievement category is, one, it looks at like big blockbuster, big money making movies. And by giving it its own category, it almost labels those movies as like less than compared to award contenders. So that's one major problem. Another problem with that category is when you have something nominated in that category and then also Best Motion Picture Drama. And the Globes do have a habit of spreading the love. So I might have even said this, that if Sinners won the Cinematic and Box Office Achievement Award, it was going to be less likely to win the Best Picture Drama Award. And sure enough, that happened. And then that begs the question, if that category didn't exist, or if Sinners wasn't in that category, would Hamnet still have won? I probably still would have bet on Sinners in that case.
Yeah, I think I might be a bit lower on Sinners than you are after what happened at the Globes. Like I said, I think Sinners was widely seen ahead of the Globes as the clear number 2 in the Best Picture race. On Friday of last week, a week ago from today, Variety released its latest Oscar predictions 2 days before the Globes. And the outlet had Sinners winning Best Picture, listed as the number 1 film in its rankings. And like I said, last week, I thought that if Sinners won Best Picture Drama, then you could make the case that there is a legitimate race for Best Picture between Sinners and One Battle. But since it lost to Hamnet, I think that was a bit of a blow for now. I don't think, as of now, Sinners should be considered a legitimate contender for Best Pictures. Obviously, things can change, especially if it wins Best Cast in a Motion Pictures at the Actor Awards.
You know what's going to happen also? Watch, the Oscar nominations are going to come out. Sinners is going to be the most nominated movie of the year, and then all those headlines are going to change.
Yeah, I mean, in those predictions from Variety, I think they were predicting that it would get 15 and break the record.
Which, thanks to the casting category, I think that's a very real possibility.
Yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, that obviously could swing the momentum in Sinners' favor. But let's now move on to Wagner Moura and Timothée Chalamet winning the 2 Best Actor categories. Jessie Buckley and Rose Byrne won the 2 Best Actress categories. According to betting markets and many pundits, we have betting markets now for the award season. Polymarket and Kalshi, I think it's called. Timothée Chalamet and Jessie Buckley are strong favorites to win the Oscars, according to those things. Obviously, like I said, things can still change throughout the award season, but I don't think either of them should be viewed as a definitive lock. But who do you think should be considered more of a lock to win?
Between Timmy and Jessie Buckley, I would probably go Timothée Chalamet at this point. I think Wagner Moura getting the win at the Globes was a very big deal, especially after all international features missed out at the Actor Awards. So I definitely think that win was important to him getting a nomination and putting not only The Secret Agent, but making sure international features are represented during award season like they should be. But I think Timothée Chalamet is just so far ahead of the pack that we're kind of in a situation where this is his award to lose. And I think one of the only ways he is going to lose it is, if a speech doesn't go according to plan, or there's some sort of unexpected upheaval in the campaigning process. But I think this is his year.
Yeah, it's crazy because I feel like was it a couple weeks ago, or was it last week even? Maybe I said that I feel like Jessie Buckley should be considered like the only potential lock out of all the actor categories, and that I thought the rest were still had a lot of potential challengers. And now I tend to agree with you. I think Rose Byrne should still be considered a major contender. And with kind of Leonardo DiCaprio being considered like the number 2 in Best Actor for a while, with him not winning anything really. I mean, he won Best Actor National Board of Review, gave a good speech at the gala this week. But yeah, I think Timmy should be considered more of a front runner for sure. Now let's move on to the supporting actor categories. Stellan Skarsgård won Best Supporting Actor. Tiana Taylor won Best Supporting Actress. There have been 3 times in the past 10 years where the Golden Globes winners for both Best Supporting Actor and Best Supporting Actress did not go on to win at the Oscars. Both categories are very competitive with other legitimate contenders. But should both Stellan Skarsgård and Tiana Taylor now be considered the frontrunners?
I think yes for one and no for the other. I think that, again, with the issue with international features at the Actor Awards, I think this win became especially important to Stellan Skarsgård because I was starting to buy into the Jacob Elordi hype. And admittedly, I still am. I do think that he could wind up being a surprise winner on Oscar night. But the Golden Globe situation firmly put Stellan Skarsgård back in my number one in that particular category. And then looking at Best Supporting Actress, I'm very happy to see Tiana Taylor win this award, but I do think it's Amy Madigan season. I think she is going all the way, and I don't necessarily think that her missing out on a Golden Globe is going to hurt her chances at winning an Oscar.
I tend to agree with you in that I think Stellan Skarsgård should more so be considered a front runner than Tiana Taylor. I feel like if I were making predictions today, I would maybe still have Tiana Taylor winning over Amy Madigan, although I think that's the closest race out of all of them. It'll be interesting to see what happens at the Actor Awards. I could see Amy Madigan winning there for sure. That's
going to be a big deal with a lot of these categories, going back to Jessie Buckley and Rose Byrne. If Rose Byrne wins that award, we're going to have a whole nother conversation about this where that race gets especially close. And I think the same thing is going to happen without a doubt, obviously, with Best Supporting Actor, because Stellan Skarsgård isn't nominated there. So once those awards happen, we're going to be like, well, we got to take that person, their chances, into consideration even more than we have been. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens at that ceremony in particular.
I feel like I say it every week. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with all this. We got the Oscar nominations coming out Thursday of next week, and we got a lot longer. It's March 15th isn't around the corner. We still got 2 months, so a lot can change. But yeah, so we're going to take a break. And coming up, Perri and I will share our thoughts on the teaser trailers for Marvel's Avengers Doomsday. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are still here with senior host at Collider, Perri Nemiroff. We just did a recap of the 83rd Annual Golden Globes. Now we are going to break down some other stories behind the big screen from the past week that deserve a deeper focus. And we will begin with Avengers Doomsday, the fourth teaser trailer for the film released on Tuesday. It features a return to Wakanda with the character Shuri, played by Letitia Wright, who became the new Black Panther in 2022's Wakanda Forever. It also shows Ben Grimm, played by Ebon Moss-Backrack. The teaser ends with a title card that says the Wakandans and the Fantastic Four will return in Avengers Doomsday. Marvel has been releasing new trailers, new teasers for the film on a weekly schedule. The previous trailers featured Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, and the X-Men. Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, not Chris Evans as Captain America. we don't know what might be happening with that. But Perri, what do you think of these teasers?
Oh boy. I have a lot of thoughts on these teasers. I will say that this latest one, the one featuring Shuri, might be my favorite of the bunch, mainly because I just really love those characters. I'm also a little obsessed with the Black Panther score. That score always gets me, and I think it was edited together really well. I mean, basically for the intended effect. I found that one to be more chill-inducing than any other, and that's great. But overall, you don't need to sell me on a new Avengers movie. I think the audience is so firmly built in. There's very little that they can do to up my hype. I'm going to see this movie and be super hyped for it no matter what happens. However, if we're just looking at the marketing effort thus far, it's hard not to think about what this feels like versus the lead up to Infinity War and also Endgame. And with those two movies, we had so many years of Marvel movies, and it really did very firmly feel like all roads were leading to this epic team up, the situation with the Infinity Stones. It was all so like well earned and planned. And in this particular case, this movie is hitting after a number of years where, you know, the MCU felt a little bit all over the place. And I'm not super mad about that. I like big swing storytelling. I like unexpected storytelling. I like lesser known characters. I like Marvel dipping into other genres or subgenres. So I'm not super mad about that, but it's just not giving Doomsday the same feel as those other two movies. And also, the marketing campaign is just further emphasizing one of my greatest concerns for this movie. And this concern has been around all along, but particularly during Chair Day, which I have a whole lot of feelings about as well. But this is a massive ensemble. I am not a screenwriter, so maybe that's why I can't picture this working. But for the life of me, I cannot imagine one feature film serving all of these characters well enough. I'm not saying every single one of them needs a massive arc or needs to be a main character, but even then, we need to justify the inclusion of all these characters. And that really does feel impossible for me to see happen in just one film and one film alone.
Yeah, maybe if the movie's like over 3 hours long, which I think I may have seen some reports or rumors about like well over 3 hours. But yeah, I agree with you on a lot of that. I think the teaser trailers are obviously trying to play into the nostalgia. They're bringing back the OGs. I think I like the Thor one the most. It's nice to see that we're going back to like serious Thor after him kind of turning into a comedy character with the Taika Waititi movies. But yeah, I'm curious, what do you think needs to happen for Avengers Doomsday to be considered a success? Since the pandemic, Marvel has released 14 films and only 2 have surpassed $1 billion. Spider-Man, No Way Home, and Deadpool and Wolverine. I think I have those stats correct. Does it I hate to just be like, does it need to make $1 billion for it to be considered a success? Or like, what dictates success for this film?
Well, I mean, if you're just zeroing in on the dollars and cents, I mean, yeah, it's an epic Marvel team up movie. It does feel like it needs to cross at the very least the $1 billion mark, especially because, like, I have to imagine this movie comes with an extremely hefty price tag, and it's also just it's an important marker for this franchise. I mean, Marvel just seemed to be going full steam ahead with barely any bumps in the road leading up to Infinity War and Endgame. And in recent years, not only have these movies struggled at the box office, they've struggled with fan reception. I think the franchise has started to struggle with finding a cohesive identity. There's a lot riding on this movie right now.
Yeah, and another factor that will play into the box office is our next story here. Avengers Doomsday shares a release date with another blockbuster franchise film, Dune Part 3. Both films hit theaters on December 18th, and this week, Doomsday star Robert Downey Jr. moderated a Q&A with Dune star Timothée Chalamet for the film Marty Supreme. And they shared that they have coined a new term, Doomsday, which may have existed before they came up with it, to mark the shared release date of their films. The name seems to be a nod to Barbenheimer, of course, which was a cultural phenomenon in 2023 surrounding the shared release dates of the films Barbie and Oppenheimer. Perri, do you think Doomsday can be the next Barbenheimer?
I definitely think it can be. And I think stunts like that between the two actors definitely help. I am not giving them credit with coining that term, though, because it was 100% out there before they said it. But I do think that maybe the two studios coming together and doing more joint marketing efforts to really play into this is only going to help both films. But I think this could go a bunch of different ways with two massive films like that debuting. December 18th is a pretty good date to choose. It's often one of the bigger weekends of the year at the box office. And then also you have the opportunity to have great legs courtesy of the holidays. So if you're going to do this at any point in the year, I feel good about that particular date. But there's also no denying that it's a major risk. And I think the bigger risk is for Dune Part 3. I think both films do have a bit of a built-in audience, but there's no denying that the MCU has a much bigger one. So I think if it's risky for either film, it is going to be Dune. But, as someone who really wants to see all movies thrive, and I think it's going to be difficult to replicate the surprise success of Barbenheimer with both of those movies soaring at the box office at the same time. But now that we've had proof that it can happen, my God, would I love to see that repeat with these two movies here. I want to see them. I want to see the all ships rise kind of scenario. And I think it's possible, but not without risk.
Yeah, I think some thought that one of these films would move its release date. Jeff Snyder reported on his podcast, The Hot Mic, that the Warner Brothers has no intention of moving its release date for Dune Part 3. Matthew Bellany of Puck said on his podcast, The Town, that neither film is going to budge on the date. So it seems like these films will be going head-to-head, as we've been talking about. But like you said, I hope that the films can both benefit from having the same release date, just like Barbie and Oppenheimer did, and that it brings more attention to the films and leads to them both being successful. I will be seeing both films on opening weekend. I will see Dune Part 3 first, but I am definitely excited for Doomsday. But let's move on to an actor who is no stranger to the Marvel franchise, Zoe Saldaña. This week, she became the highest grossing actor of all time, following the box office success of Avatar, Fire and Ash. She starred in some of the highest grossing movies of all time. Previous two Avatar films, Infinity War and Endgame, the Avengers films. In a video on Instagram, she reacted to the new milestone, expressing her gratitude for her collaborators and the franchises she's been a part of. What do you think this says about Zoe Saldaña's place in cinema history?
I think she's an icon. I've always thought she was an icon. Like last year, obviously, she had an epic run during award season. Every movie, most of these movies that she's in are clearly box office smashes. But then the coolest thing ever is, when you look at movies like Avatar and the Marvel Cinematic Universe making tons of money and essentially putting her at the top of this list, she's also a consistent scene stealer in both franchise. Like, I think that her work in all the Avatar movies is on another level. And clearly she is getting a lot of love and she's gotten a lot of accolades over the years. But I don't think we stopped to talk about how incredibly effective her performance as Neytiri in particular is. But then also you could look at her work in the MCU as Gamora. I mean, just the amount of heart and the way she's able to convey the pain that Gamora is carrying around and the dedication to the fight and the passion that character exudes. It really is something special. So I love seeing an actress like her being at the top of this list, and also knowing that she just consistently brings everything she has and then some to every role. And the quality of her work is truly off the charts for me.
Yeah, I remember first seeing her in the movie Drumline, which was one of the first
classic.
movies. Yeah, one of a cable classic for sure. One of the first movies she starred in. Then in 2009, I think she was in both the first Avatar film and then the Star Trek film. Then all of a sudden, she was one of the biggest actors in the world. I'm not surprised that she's gone on to have the success that she's had and went on to win an Oscar. She's immensely talented. And if Avatar 4 and Avatar 5 happen, the combined total gross of her films will likely get another significant boost. But finally, the official trailer for the upcoming film, The Bride, released on Thursday. The film stars Jessie Buckley as the Bride of Frankenstein, Christian Bale as Frankenstein's monster. Movie is written and directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal. Perri, I know that yesterday you moderated a conversation Wednesday?
Yeah, kind of. It was taped.
Oh, it was taped. Okay.
Yeah, so, the day before.
Okay, so you moderated a conversation with Maggie Gyllenhaal to celebrate the release of this trailer. I want to know what that was like, but first, what are your thoughts on this trailer, and are you excited for the film? I assume that you are.
Oh, I am so excited. I mean, you already well know at this point that I love genre films. I love the classic Universal monster movies, but in particular, and I just said this with the last topic, I love big swing storytelling. I want to be like, even with a character like the Bride of Frankenstein, who I know pretty well, like I want to be surprised. And if this trailer tells me anything, it tells me that Maggie Gyllenhaal is swinging for the fences. And if you are going to swing for the fences with not one, but two, because we have the Bride and Frank here, two classic Universal monsters, there are no better actors on this planet to have in those roles than Jessie Buckley and Christian Bale. I think they are two actors with endless range. And I think these appear to be the kinds of characters, especially in the way that Maggie Gyllenhaal seems to be constructing this world, where like you really can only cast actors in those roles who are like not only capable and willing, but enthusiastic about taking it to an 11. So I think that combination is really going to make this movie soar in a unique way.
I am very excited. I'm excited to see those performances, two of our greatest actors. I'm excited to see another film from Maggie Gyllenhaal after the success of her first one. Perri, that's going to be all for today. I really appreciate you joining. We're probably going to be doing an Oscar preview episode next week. Maybe we'll have you back for that. But
I love it. I can't wait.
All right. All the best to you, though. And coming up, a new film to watch in theaters this weekend is 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. Writer and podcaster for Next Best Picture, Gio Lago, has seen the film. He will join the show to share his thoughts on the movie. That's after a quick break. Welcome back. It's time now for What to Watch, where we highlight new movies hitting both theaters and streamers. Today, we are highlighting 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. The film officially released in theaters today. And joining the show to give us his thoughts on the film is writer and podcaster for Next Best Picture, Gio Lago. Gio, thank you for joining us again.
Yeah, no problem. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Really appreciate you coming back on to talk about 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. You saw an early screening of the film in December. You saw it for a second time last night. Let's get right to it. What did you think of the movie?
I think me seeing it a second time speaks volumes because I loved it. 28 Years Later was in my top 10 of last year, which is shocking because I'm not a big Danny Boyle guy. But here, seeing what Nia DaCosta does with the franchise and how it's like a perfect meshing of a very emotional calmness in terms of her direction and an ease, like very much juxtaposing Garland's very putrid austerity for this franchise. It makes a very fascinating complement with one another. And I mean, Ralph Fiennes is just cooking on like levels that are unreal. Some of the best work he's done in years. And Jack O'Connell, from Sinners, who's just brilliant. And for those who have watched him since the Skin days, he still continues to show why he is one of the most fascinating actors working today. I loved it. I think it's the right start we need for this year. And I am very excited to see how many films this year that come out won't compare to 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple.
Can you compare and contrast to the first film? The first 28
in terms
years?
of yeah, it's, compared to the last one, it's far more low stakes. The way the story unfolds it's shocking how Garland plays around with world building in a way that is very intentional and also doesn't feel like it is just this grand buildup to something compared to like other IP based franchises. Is very patient with his storytelling. It's a lot of characters just following around a Jimmy Savile cult leader who worships the devil. And meanwhile, Ralph Fiennes is like, what if I'm hanging out with a giant zombie who's naked all the time and it looks like Samson from the Bible? And they're just dancing to Duran Duran. That's literally the movie. And it is an amazing vibe, especially how those storylines come and intersect with one another. And especially where it does end off, I feel sets up the franchise for that third film they've been talking about. I'm glad they already announced it's being made because it is a very tough watch. For general audiences, I warn you, this movie is incredibly gruesome, far more than the last one.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see it. I'm seeing it on Sunday. And like you said, there were reports that the third film is going to be happening, I think, after those early screenings and the positive reaction. That's kind of what got it greenlit. And there's talk that Cillian Murphy is going to be returning. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, you have to watch to find out. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, well, that's all the time we got. We had to be quick today. Gio, I really appreciate you coming back on to give your thoughts on the film. Let's have you back on again soon. It's nice to see
just
you.
let me know. No problem.
All right, thanks, buddy. And that does it for today's episode of That's a Wrap. Stay tuned for more on Pix 11 Plus throughout the night. I'm Joe Kohle. Thank you for watching.